Paula here, and this is the Flavorful Home. I am making apple pie today with the pie crust that I made in a previous video. I am using canned apple pie filling. This is apple pie filling that I canned myself with apples I purchased. Now, this is a quart-sized jar, so my thought is it's going to fill a regular size pie pan, not a deep dish or double. It's going to be a single regular pie pan. And I have my 2 pie crusts that have defrosted. I am going to show you how you will get it to unroll and become a beautiful piece of pastry without any fear of sticking or any issues. So I will gather everything and we'll get started. Alright, now I bought this from the Pampered Chef a few years ago, and I love it because it gives me my measurements. But remember I told you, don't worry about sticking. One of the things in that recipe is flour, and more flour. Do not allow yourself to become even a little concerned with how much flour you are putting on your crust. And then you just roll, turn. I gotta move my chair. Roll, and we'll turn. And you see how it's just opening up beautifully, just beautifully. And you just keep going. And then every so often I will go to the center again. But I like to get to my ends. And you turn, and you get to your ends. And you keep turning. And notice it's not like a full turn. I'm doing like these little quarter turns, and that's how you get your crust to stay in a circle shape. And you just keep going. I don't want that flour to go flying. Now another thing is you need to put it back in the freezer for at least 30 minutes. And because I am using pie filling that I canned and the apples are no longer raw, I am going to par bake this crust. I'm going to give it maybe about 8 to 10 minutes in my oven. And just for, you can see it more than covers the pie tin. Now, I'm getting my little, whatever you want to call it, pastry brush, basting brush, and I fold it in half, and I just brush off the excess flour. Do the same thing here. There really isn't that much, but that's what you do with this. And now you put your pie crust, your pie tin there, lay it. You do not press your dough into your tin. Open your dough up and just maneuver it, and you let it fall naturally. Shimmy it around, get it over the ends, and you let it fall on its own. And I give it a little spin if I feel one side needs a little more. This way you're not getting any, by not pressing it, you're not going to get that excess shrinkage. So once it's fallen in and you feel like you have a good, feel it, that's when you could very gently just go around, but you're not pressing it. Now I'll get my little kitchen scissor, and just where it's overhanging a lot, I will give it a little trim. Don't throw away your trimmings, because you can cut shapes, leaves. You could make a little apple. You could make roses. You could make braids. And now I'm just going to tuck it under just a little bit. I'm not even going to press it. I'm just going to go around and just do a gentle, actually this has a little bit more than I want. I'm not shaping it or anything, because I will be doing a top on this. If this was a pumpkin pie, then I would make, you know, something to that effect. But since this is going to have a top, I'm not going to get all artsy with the under part. And that's it. That's my dog. That's Yogi. He doesn't like commercials. And when a commercial he doesn't like comes on, it's time to howl. And that's my husband telling him enough. He sounds like a werewolf. Okay. Now I will get a fork and do some pinpricks. And 1, 2, 3. And then we'll put it in the freezer, and we'll be back to show how it goes in the oven. Alright, we are back with our somewhat frozen pie crust. We put some aluminum foil over it, all around the sides, around the edges, and then we're going to blind bake, or pod bake in this instance. I don't do the fancy ceramic, what are they called, the beads. This is my little bag of beans and rice. And you just push it so that it's weighted all the way to the ends. And I'll get my cookie sheet that I already prepped with a piece of parchment paper, because I don't like mess, and when it bakes, that will make sure that any apple juice that leaks out goes onto parchment and not my pan. Okay, like I said, I'm going to do this, I'm going to give it 10 minutes in a 350 oven. Maybe at about 8 minutes I might do a little peek and see how it looks. But that is our crust, all, lift it up so you can see it, hidden under there. we'll put it in the oven, and then we will come back and we will get to making the top for it. See you in a minute. All right, so now we're going to get started on our top. I'm going to tell you right now, I cannot cut in a straight line if my life depended on it. It just doesn't happen. It is what it is. I accept it. I do not have a very steady hand. So if I'm not worried about it, if cutting straight is an issue for you, please do not let that sort of stuff make you nervous. Add a little bit more. Put that on top. And here we go. Same thing. Get your roll going. Nice. Get it from that center. You really want to push out on it. You see the chunks of butter in here? This is what makes it so yummy. And just give it that little spin. Fussy and it wants to stick in the middle, so I flipped it and I added more. Now I want those ends to come. I'm not looking for perfectly round because this is going to be my top. And I'm going to cut strips of various thicknesses. I'm not going to use a knife. Let's see. That's not that thick, but not all of them. Some are going to be thin. Alright, I'm not going to use that. I'm going to use my pizza cutter. I don't like what it's doing. And so this just tends to work better. And I know I look a little silly this way, but I need to be able to see what's coming to me. And obviously these are going to be braids because they're on the thinner side. And then we'll do a little thicker. And you think I was kidding about not being able to cut straight. Look at it. I cannot. So don't you worry about it either. And then I like to do maybe one or two thicker. I'm going to do 3 thicker today. Do 3 of those thicker. And then we're going to do thin again because I want to do more braids. And I am all over the place, folks, so don't worry. That might be a little too thin, but I'm not going to worry about it. And we'll do this size, and I'll have this one too. All right. Let's put these over here, and we're going to braid. And I want to make sure you can see this good. So let me just check. Move you a little bit that way. And okay. You just kind of, and it's like if you're braiding a little girl's hair. One, you have to manipulate it a little bit more because unlike hair, it's not going to, you can't pull it tight like you would with a little girl's hair. And you just go right down. And there you go. And you get your nice braid going. All the way to the bottom, and just kind of give it a little press and pinch. That's one. Okay, I'm going to pull these over here. I want to make sure these are cut. Pressing the top on that yet. I want to finagle with this a little bit more. And there you go. And you just keep going. Get far and under. There we go. All right, let me fix this up here a little bit more. Get that one there, that one there. All right, and now I'll pinch it a little, and I'll pinch it a little. Okay, so now I have two braids. Now I'm going to get my pie filling. Not quite finished. My par-baked crust. I have to finagle a little bit because I want to get the filling in. Let's put that there. Put this over. Alright, never mind. Keep that there. Going to pop my filling. I did get a second jar because I wasn't quite sure what I was going, and I'll move that pie over a little bit because obviously I want you guys to be able to see it. Okay. I brought up a second jar of filling. I love that sound. Oh, it smells so good. I don't want a small pie. I want it filled nicely. So I said, let me bring up another jar just in case. And I think I am going to, even if I only use half of that other jar, I'd rather have some left over for hand pie, or I have puff pastry. I could make turnovers in a snap. So I'd rather have it just a little bit. Oh my gosh, this really smells so good. That's better, yeah. Okay. And this, you could use this on ice cream as a topping, apple crisp. All right. Now, I want to make sure you're in there real good so that you can see how I am. Now, I'll start at the end. And see how I let it overhang just a bit. And that I will, with my scissor, you don't want that much of an overhang. Put that there. That's my clock. Now comes the fun part. It takes me a couple of shots because these were going to be braids, so I'm going to go with this. Okay. I'm going to go over, under, over, under, over. Sit right there. So I'm going to give it a little space, and the braid's just going to sit on top of it. So I'm going to go over, under, over, under, I'm going to use a little milk. Let me get that. And I will brush it so that it sticks. Do a little look. Let me get my little brush. I got this at Home Goods. It's just a little brush. It's perfect for when you're making bread and you have to do an egg wash. I like the small one for that. Alright. I'm just going to, because I want the braid to stick. So I will press it down on it. Okay. Let it just fall. And I think I'm going to do a thick. Okay, so this was over. So this one has to go under. Over. Under. Over. Under. Get this out of the way. All right. And I'm going to put another braid right there. Just okay. Let it fall right on top. Press it where the crusts are. And I think I'll do a thinner. Not thin, but thinner. Okay, so this one went under, so this one's going to go over, under, over, under, over, and now I'm trying to decide, do I want just leaves or do I want a rose? You know what? I don't think I want a rose today. I don't know that this pie says rose. I gotta trim these a little more. So I think I'm gonna just to leave them because it is par baked and it's going to pull a little bit, so I'm going to let it do that. I'm just going to do leaves. I think it'll be a little bit more rustic. I'm just going to trim it like that. Let's turn it around. A little more. This basically is just, I don't see it taking more than 20 minutes, to be honest. All right, now, these are going to get rolled up. I do not get rid of any of this. This I will put back in the freezer because there's so many pies that are going to be baked. These will all be either braids, roses, leaves. Okay, don't want them too thick. Okay, I'm going to shut you for a second. We'll be right back when I get my cutters. Okay, I'm going to move this a little this way and then pull this all this way. This is my cutter. I'm going to put a little flour and flour that up. Press down to make the marks. The dough is a little warm, and California has decided it's going to be summer again. Okay, now I am going to wet it a little bit because I want them to stick. So put it in there. And do the threes because threes are just a design thing. That is really pretty. I love decorating my pies. And I'm going to bake it at 350. Like I said, I don't think it's going to take more than 20. Let me show you. And I didn't cut them a lot because I know they're going to pull up and shrink. When they come out, I will see if I need to cut them some more. That's a pretty holiday pie. This side is a little bit more hangy. So I'm just going to do that. Alright, so I'm going to cookie sheet it and into the oven for 20 at about 15. I'll give it a quick check. And when this puppy is done, we will come back and check on it. See you in just a few. Alrighty, friends, this is the pie right out of the oven. It browned beautifully. Yeah, it's not that. It's hot, but you learn to have asbestos fingers. I'll just tilt it to you a little bit. Look how pretty that is. The braids on it, the different thicknesses of lattice top. I love making pies with these different designs on them. They really are pretty, and they are not hard at all. Don't be afraid. Look at that. Absolutely let it cool. I never just cut into a hot pie. I've learned my lesson. I usually give my pies a minimum of 4 hours to cool, a minimum, because otherwise your insides gush out. But I'm going to tell you, this pie filling is out of this world delicious. I will put a link to Carol from the Thrifty Chic Housewife. It's an absolutely safe canning recipe. It's all she ever does. but she puts some approved twists to pump up the flavor. This is a darn good pie. Alrighty, friends. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you get inspired to make some delicious pies for your holiday tables. Until next time, have a great one. Enjoy your baking and choose joy. Bye-bye.